want to be able to look at where they're going. If Scotty focuses on just doing an Atlanta airport city.com, they're not able to look at where they're going. There isn't an aggregation of where they're going. There's an aggregation of what's here.
Yeah, but you have to start somewhere.
I'm not saying
you
that's
can't
wrong.
you can't do this for 5 airports at once. Just start with Atlanta. It's the busiest airport in the country. Start there.
Well, hang on a second. You say you can't do that. My only thought is that the latest movement of application development is not a software as a service, but it's a platform as a service. And that's really what this is the development of a platform that enables widgets to be able to fit in specific places on here, that this button here, it's a button. And I don't care where it's going to go yet. I just need the platform to be able to be linked to a URL that I can put in behind that in an administrative page, so that this same platform that's built for Airport City isn't built just for Atlanta, but it's built so that I can replicate it and say, okay, so now I've got the same platform and I want to change the buttons to be these.
Exactly.
So it's just
It's the same way we built City Data Company. We built Walkabouts for the Beltline, and then immediately abandoned the Beltline.
By Beltline, you're not what we're
He's going to build it for the Hartsfield Jackson, and immediately it'll just be one thing, and then he can make it for every airport in the world.
Well, I mentioned it because I know Michael's documenting this as well, and as part of this, you got to focus. One success first, and Atlanta Airport is certainly the one that we can be successful with. But you're not going to get paid a lot on that very first one that you build. You've got to get a proof of concept up. So you've got to be very quickly behind that, able to replicate it into a paying customer, either there in the Atlanta airport or with another airport that sees it and says, I want it. And you're probably going to end up getting that one before you get the Atlanta airport, because whatever deal you're going to strike with the Atlanta airport, it's likely going to be I'll do this for 12 months for you, and we'll do it at this reduced rate for you to be able to do a pilot program of what this looks like. And you're going to take the 10 months after the 2 months of working any bugs out to be able to let every other airport know, hey, look, we got a platform that does this. It's running in Atlanta. And you got 10 months of runway to be able to utilize that pilot program.
The thing is, I just don't, and really what kind of started this line of thought for me was that you're talking about the next steps being going after sponsors. I think that's 3 or 4 months away. I think the first step is to build a honey trap, right? You need to build a honey trap, which is the website that gets people to visit, then ultimately click out to our map, and the map is the primary advertising venue. And that's what he can make money off of
in the very
next
short term.
week. Next week he can make money off of that. Just make it $5 a month for each of these companies to be on the map, and then create the website as a honey trap that people are going to go to. It's a diversionary tactic, and then they click out to the map, which is where you're making your money initially. Just a very little bit of money, but it starts the advertising revenue. I just don't see why right now. This is a brilliant idea. I see it. I'm 100% behind it. But I don't see any reason why Hartsfield Jackson would pay any attention to this right now. And why would a sponsor? You don't even have a product yet. So what are they sponsoring? But if you can get a little bit of traffic going to the map,
Jeff can speak to this really, really candidly.
Okay.
I mean, we've gone to Kings Ridge Christian School, and 10 months ago we signed a deal with them where we don't get paid any money except for the sponsor advertising for it. But they're required to be able to put 10 new videos up per week from their own consumption and for their own consumption of their own. They haven't done it. Oops.
Yeah.
Why would a sponsor put any money into being a sponsor?
They loved the idea until it came down to, okay, where's the traffic? How are you going to drive the traffic there?
Oh, well, they're putting 10 new videos a week.
They're putting 10 new videos a week. Okay. So you're dead. You're
really spot on. I mean, you got to get
where I disagree is I do think the airport. I think there isn't an organization out there today that isn't looking. I mean, no matter what they do, they say the words. Well, we've got to get into social media. We've got to figure out a social media game for our organization.
I think it's going to be a Byzantine labyrinth. You do not want to get involved with Hartsfield Jackson right now. It's just like us. If we'd gone with our idea to the Beltline, they would have said, okay, now we want it to be this way and this way and this way. And they have no effing idea what they're talking about. Right. If you go to the airport now, they're going to make this what they think is a solution. You need to build the solution
And if we
prove
were-
it, and
if we
then
went
go
to
to
the,
that.
if
and
we
make
went
them
to
pay.
Beltline and did this, we would not be at version 1 right now. We would be with
They would have ran us
an
in
action
circles for
item list of
months.
75 things that they needed to be able to have, or else they weren't even going to consider it.
Right.
But if you walk in and you say, I got a fully baked potato, and I got,
Well, who,
I got
okay,
chives.
then
and
let's
I got
go.
salt and pepper,
Right.
and
Then I would go to who are marketing. You know, who does a lot of marketing in an airport? The airlines. Why don't you drive it from the airline? You know,
The smallest
Delta goes
airline.
to the airport and says, "Hey, listen, we want this. I'll bet you'll have somebody's attention." As Byzantine as that
Yeah, no,
organization is,
no, it's a
I'll
good-
bet
No,
you.
pick the smallest. Pick the smallest airline.
Pick the,
Right.
Southwest, the most progressive. I
Yeah.
mean, the Avis of the airlines
Yeah.
in Atlanta right now. You know, would they or Virgin or somebody
Yeah,
like
Virgin.
that?
Well,
Virgin has a
is-
new
is-
flight to Manchester that
Yeah.
they just took over for Delta.
Right, that would be an ideal airline to go to. They're innovative, they're edgy, and look.
Same with Korean Air. That's
Right.
actually there are more tourists coming from Korea than anywhere else in the world.
There you
go. Yeah.
Coming to Atlanta. So
So you know,
They need it.
yeah.
Wait a minute, whoa, whoa. There are more what coming from where?
Korean
To Atlanta?
airline tours.
there are more tourists coming from Korea than anywhere else in the world coming to Atlanta.
And what are the people on the Pacific Rim known for in terms of technology?
having the latest
No.
and greatest. And
That's where Samsung. That's where our Samsungs are from. I believe.
Or being able to copy our stuff.
That's
Oh,
what
yeah,
I
that's-
So to do with what
Verizon. Well, I was just thinking Verizon really is pushing their global data access and everything. So why would Verizon not be interested?
So
yeah,
that's again the reason why Verizon wouldn't be
T-Mobile's
interested is that at the moment you don't have any traffic.
Yeah.
So to be able to get Verizon to put up their sponsorship, and then for the next 6 months to be able to say, well, I'm not sure if we're going to be able to drive anybody to your sponsors. They're not going to be very happy sponsors. And it's the chicken and the egg. And I speak to it just because we're dealing with it right now with a company.
My feeling is that I think businesses here in College Park are probably your number one people who would be absolutely willing to pay you $5 a month
Right.
to be able to get on a potential something that is they have 100,000 people every week
Driving by.
20 minutes away, 15 minutes away, and they can't get at them. And what you're literally saying is, would you like to get at them
We can
for
get 'em.
$5 a month?
Right.
It's a very nominal income, but it's a start, right? And then you start to prove, and the map is there. It's yours. You can use it today to start driving traffic to it. I just think the website is and I'm calling it a honey trap. I mean, it is the reason for people to visit, and it has to be updated. But that can be built for you. People want what they want. So just put it all in one place. Atlanta specific with a click out to the map, which is the primary advertising venue that you can start driving revenue now.
Right.
And then once you get up to 10,000 visitors a day on this website,
Then you go talk to Verizon.
then you talk to Verizon. Then you start talking. Then you go to Delta or Southwest, and then suddenly
It is the
they
catch-22.
drive it.
It's the catch-22, but let me, if I can, use an example of how I got Morgan Freeman to be in my
Sure.
film.
Sure.
And I think it applies to that, or I'm applying that same thing to this. Morgan Freeman doesn't know me, even though I worked with Turner probably 12 years or so at that point and used that as part of my introduction. I was not working for Turner, even though I ultimately did sell the film to Turner. It was not commissioned by them. I was completely on my own, self-funded the whole thing. Why would Morgan Freeman sit down with an independent filmmaker? I had to figure that out. I had to work backwards. So that's what I do. Same way I got to B.B. King. Same way. I mean, that's just what I do. So if the airport is the objective, to get to them, and we were working with that, when we discovered the consulting firm, I said, aha, now that is something, two things. One, this consulting firm is not going to want it to be in anybody else's hands but theirs. They can develop this in every single airport that they represent and then some. Okay, the other thing is, with this map, what it allows me to do is push back the website, the necessity for the website immediately today, and be able to sell those things, So if we have the agreement and the influence and moving forward and developing it with this consultant, we have the entire airport and we have every business in it. Because the airport can basically require that everybody be on it, for one thing. or they can offer it at such a nominal fee. So it's a two-tier thing. The airport buys it. That's one set of advertising, as we talked about, and then each individual is another. So in order to convince is the last thing, same way I got to Morgan Freeman into that, what I'll do is go to Paradise, who has 550 stores in 75 airports, and I'll go in and say, here's what I intend to do. I'm going to go meet with, next week, I'm going to go meet with the folks at Recondo, so they can help us develop this so we're not half-assing it. So I'm not launching something that's premature and isn't completed and ready to serve the customers as they need to be. And I'll get a letter of intent from them saying, if you have this, we want to be a part of it in every way, shape, or form at all 75, all 551 of our five, and then go to Recondo and say, here's the only person I've gone to, but here's what they think about it. And they just hired a new vice president of business development at Paradise, so I'll be meeting with her as soon as possible.
Okay.
And try and approach it that way, the same way I befriended Morgan Freeman's business partner and best friend. And just told him, I said, if there's ever an availability with Mr. Freeman that he would maybe possibly do an interview, I said, I will hire a crew, I'll spend whatever money it takes, and I'll get here. He called me on a Wednesday and said, we've got a thing next Monday, can you be here? And I got a crew and we were there. I mean, it probably cost me $8,000 out of pocket, but I got Morgan Freeman. So much so that the next spring, when we had a verbal agreement from the Nat Geo channel, they wanted four 4-minute segments or something ridiculous, and they were only going to give us $16,000. But I spent basically almost all of that accumulating what they wanted for their stories, and went back and reshot. And Morgan gave me a second interview, so I've got over an hour's worth of material now to work with just Morgan Freeman, in something that would have cost me a minimum of $3 to $5 million just for him to voice over. But because we did it that way, and the same with music. I've got over 25 songs in the film at this point. Because of intellectual property and such, I was able to go around a large portion of that because I know how to do sound in the field, and we recorded in the field. We weren't using pre-recorded, so we have to deal with the record labels, still have to deal with who wrote the song and so on and so forth, but it's the poor man's way of doing it. It's those shortcuts, which is how I do and what I do. So I really, really hear what you're saying. I'm hoping that I'm kind of going around that and getting it to someone that can say, you know what, we want to plug this into our long plan. And that gives us time to develop the rest of the features. We can hear their feedback. Right now we're with this, this beginning stage, and we can perfect that map in 6 months as opposed to having to launch it today.
Sure.
Type of thing as well. Same with the websites. All of it can be developed, ready, and then launched because it's with the airport. They're going to want to promote it. They're going to paint it in the grass out there. #Airport City. Which I still haven't heard on the trademark, but I guess as you know, I registered for trademark #Airport City. So that becomes our marketing, the T-shirts, the everything, and then going from there. But I love shortcuts. They're very important in terms of really moving things forward and not tripping over yourself because the process takes too slow.
Yeah. My overall concern is that there are no shortcuts with an airport. Especially the biggest airport, by traffic volume,
right.
That they have massive you have the worst. You have corporate and governmental bureaucracy working together to make everything slow.
Please, Michael.
I cut myself in a wheelchair here.
Uh-oh.
Broken arm, it's all right.
And that, I keep coming back, and I may be totally off base with this. I'm going to be fully upfront with this, but I keep coming back to the idea that you don't need the airport to make this a success. Mm-hmm. That you actually, the traffic's already...
like he does at the moment. And it's a driving force for it because it's in the backyard and because there's a need and it's the first.
Yeah.
And it's just like with your belt line as being a...
Well, it took me a long time to let go of the belt line.
So give him some time too.
Give
him some time too, because you were able to stay focused on the belt line for quite some time. Yeah. He can stay focused on Atlanta Airport. It's the busiest airport in the country.
Well, I think you need the airport because they're your visitors. Your customers are in the airport.
Right.
But the airport, the structure over it, screw them.
Right.
You are the airport.
Right.
You are Airport City. Go poach their customers. Take their customers.
That's the way to look at it. Is
you need their customers.
You don't need to pay the airport to be able to do anything.
Correct.
You have a platform.
Correct.
And that platform.
And then once you build the platform and you've got the data view stuff, then you start saying, "Isn't this beautiful? This could be your revenue stream."
Right. So, but in the interim, that catch-22 and then I want to get to whatever. I mean, Michael's probably going to wrap us up. But having the ability to establish credibility without having the website. It's the same thing I did with the film. By having Morgan Freeman, I could tell anybody and everybody. I could name Pine Top Perkins and Sam Carr and Big Jack Johnson, all those guys, until I'm blue in the face, nobody's going to give a damn. But when I say I have Morgan Freeman in the film, not only did Turner turn around, because I went to Turner before I ever started shooting, and I said, will you guys help me do this? I've been shooting for them for years. They were like, let us know how it goes. I'm like, cool, I'm on it. They've been trying for a year and a half to get Morgan Freeman. I walked away like the smart ass I am. I said, I'll get him. I don't care, I'll get him. And so within 6 weeks, I had his interview. Well, within 16 months of there, I had another pitch for Turner back to them because they needed something for Black History Month. So they called me and said, we spent 3 months of negotiation. Their first offer was the lowest thing you could imagine. But they got a race against the clock come January, and they were like, all right, here's what we'll do. We'll do this, this, and this, and this. I mean, as you know, it won an Emmy, was nominated for 2 Emmys. It did well. It helped my career at Turner and so on and so forth. It was great. But what it did, having Morgan Freeman, is it gave me the credibility before that film was built. Even enough so where I could sell Turner on it.
See, we have an interesting, you go back to what I love, and the reason I'm in this community is we've got Tri-Cities down here. These people have all those folks at the airport. They don't need exits and go everywhere else in the world, but they don't spend $1 here, unless they happen to be stuck over at Hotel Indigo. So we have the airport chamber. We have 3 cities of government people who have economic development, as well as we have individual shop owners, which we can easily capture I'm going to give you a number, could be right or wrong, but 600 plus or minus businesses, which could actually benefit from airport traffic. 600 businesses, ranging from restaurants to clothing shops to.
And it traces $5 a piece. You're looking at $3,000 a month.
Yeah, you can bring in.
I think you might actually, the airport might view you as a competitor. Because your goal is to get people out of the airport and into the community. That's one of your side goals.
One of them.
But the airport has absolutely no interest in getting people out of that airport. So they might say, "Yeah, this is a wonderful platform, but you are absolutely not taking advertising sponsors outside of the airport." Well, that you just kneecapped yourself.
And
pardon the term.
That hurt.
Yeah, that was the bad nose.
That's worse. Not only did I lose a knife fight, I got both knees figured out.
I'm kind of on the other side, though. I don't see me leaving the airport to go off the airport grounds. I really
Surely some people. I mean,
That's the Aerotropolis concept, where you don't leave the airport area
yeah.
to do your business in the city.
right.
You don't
I
need
think-
the rest of Atlanta.
So I think you
But unless you run out of
develop
things to
that
do.
first.
Or a year long.
Right now, I never leave an airport. When I'm in the airport,
Right.
I'm in the airport.
Right. Once I go through security, I got no
I'm
reason going
there.
anywhere.
That's where I am.
And that's why this is
what
such a
about
perfect first
someone
product.
with a 4 or 6 hour layover?
Right.
I don't want to sit in the airport for 6 hours.
Right.
We had a layover like that in DC, and we just hopped on the metro and went and spent 4 hours in DC.
I mean, I have over 3 million miles. I can honestly say I've never had much more than an hour or 2 of a planned layover. Yeah. I've had
Others,
unplanned,
But it's an interesting point, because here at the Atlanta airport, MARTA's right there. It's in the airport. You can be on the train without leaving physically the airport. I mean, they have a station that's
And
under
you're
the airport.
Downtown in 20 minutes.
And you're downtown in 20 minutes. You're
For
here
$2.50.
in 3 minutes.
Right.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, this is stop 2.
One. Stop
Yeah,
one.
stop 1 off
Yeah.
from the airport. I mean, and that's kind of the purpose of this eco development system that's taking place right here on Main Street here in College Park, is the fact that MARTA gets off right there.
Right.
And the whole
That's why
concept was
Hotel
that
Indigo built a beautiful hotel there and is happy with its occupancy. Because people will come here.
And it is true that one website needs to come, and that really is the Airport City Atlanta. I mean, that's what's branded. I think what all these others, Airport City Flowers, as opposed to having the backslash or whatever that is, flowers, because it's another .com, does it not then drive more traffic towards the whole, towards the network? So it's the same thing as putting the backslash flowers, but it's simply going to a simple page until we further develop that
Yeah,
page.
it's just
And it's not reinventing the wheel. Like, if you look at what I was thinking about for hotels, I could simply put a link, a beautiful picture with one, say Hilton, a beautiful picture of Hilton, and then a link to hotels.com and have them pay me to be a part of the website. Because what it is another name for them. It's another way to, you know,
All
they're
right,
reaching
we're
airport.
at about our
travelers.
10-minute warning here, guys. Michael, interject what you're going to do.
You've got a really good point, though, is that, you know, the fact that we here in this room are disagreeing about potentially about who our demographic is, you know, I think that's something that needs to be sorted out in some capacity. We need to know, you know, what percentage are willing to leave the airport if they were going to something cool,
Right.
and which percentage are going to stay in the airport,
Right.
you know, and where do you make more money? Could you actually 20% leave, but that's where you could make a ton of money off those 20%, you know, and so screw the other 80%, you know, that's important information.
That's a good point, because if you are apt to leave, you are going to spend money.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to spend a lot.
And you're not going to go to the
Right.
zoo.
Because you're going to have to get a ride there or whatever.
Right. And you're going to want to go to somewhere special that's not at the airport.
Right.
And that always costs more money. And yeah, I mean, I
Well,
want
we
to
did
make
it in DC, right?
Right.
We want because the DC Metro took us right from here to where we wanted to see everything. We could see everything in 4 hours and get back.
Right.
You
And
know,
I can't get a good bottle of Cabernet in the airport. It's all crap. I can't get a good Chardonnay. It's all crap. But if I knew I could go off the airport and
Right.
be back in an hour and have a nice bottle of Chardonnay.
And on the
that
website,
guy.
you can find Uber or whatever
Yeah,
way to
yeah.
drive you there.
Yeah.
You can be in 3 minutes. You can be in our historic.
I think a lot of people are that guy,
Yeah,
but they just don't
absolutely.
have the information.
Yeah,
They
because
need
I'm
to-
on,
That's your
I'm
first
on an
sign.
expense account. I mean, my
Yeah.
company's going to
It's not even your money.
anyway. I mean,
Not even your damn money.
yeah, and so well, why spend $20 on some crap
Right.
wine at the airport?
I
when
spent 26 on what I want.
Yeah, exactly. Or 36 or 40. My company's going to pay for it anyway.
All right.
Yeah.
So, Michael, what you got?
All right. Now, when I map, I try to bring out what I'm hearing collectively. So again, that's what I was saying earlier. Just don't say bring.
We'll give you 8 minutes. Go for it.
Okay, now this panel that I had up here, I actually had mapped right here. So what's supposed to be in there is vision, the traveler, the businesses, the patrons, I wrote something too quick, and then the employees, the websites, the mapping, and then the overall filter. So this was the beginning conversation that we had. The rest of the blocks are the entire conversation in its frames. So what I kind of started seeing was these moving elements right now that we're trying to, they all kind of vibrate, and we're trying to settle the vibration down. Airport City itself and how that is still getting flushed out. The mapping component, the airport as the player, the airport itself. The users and the travelers, the stores, the consulting firm, the visitors, which has also been called the customer, the sponsors, the platform, and the data view. And again, I'm just acquiring some of that language here. And the long plan. I like to think this is like a balloon board, right? You throw a dart, pop a balloon, see what you win, right? So there's a lot inside of each one of these to explore individually, just to flush out. And then the element that seems to be where everything's starting to happen is that the development side of this, the sales side of this. Now I drew a little miniature monitor, and then the algorithm, that the correlation between those components and how that's starting to get worked out as a dynamic. Now the advising consulting me says don't do it all because sales cycles can kill you. The airport itself, there's three elements. The traveler and the breakout of the traveler's demographics from 8 to 90, let's say from 8 to 95, right? So what is that experience that the 8-year-old is having? What is the experience that the 45-year-old is having? What is the experience that the 95-year-old person is having, right? The stores. The thing about the stores, and I actually put this in here, and I know it wasn't discussed as much, but I think each strategy matches the type of stores that we identify. If they're food stores, to me, that's actually going to be a little bit hard to sell unless it's a specialty food store, like a bar, something that serves something in particular specialty. If it's just a fast food, maybe not as much unless they're giving a discount. But let me tell you what I thought one of the core drivers would be is the product companies that's inside of it. Because there's a whole, I try to get people all the time, especially in communities and stuff a lot, they'll talk about Walmart, but they forget that Walmart's got 1.2 million products inside of it. So you don't have to sell Walmart, sell the products that are inside of it. So the sponsors actually could come from the individual products inside of each one of those stores. Those are your product things, so that would give you a larger list of sales that you would be able to do. Outside of the airport is the airport experience, to travel back and forth to the airport, the things that y'all are referencing. So there's definitely components of marketing strategies that I think would be placed in all of these that we'll be doing. So even though I did it this way, technically, it's how far down does each one of these go as a marketing strategy. So these little dots would represent individual marketing strategies that we can look at and deploy for each one. And then over here on this side, the aerotropolises, which I know they're expecting to be 15 megatropolis cities around the world that are really where everybody's going to live also. So that aligns with what y'all were saying about the aerotropolis. Well, that whole strategic component, everyone knows that it's in the pocket now. If I can get to your smartphone, I can get to you. And that's whether you have an experience with us, and long after you left that experience, I'm trying to incentivize you to come back and spend some money with me. So I can imagine that they don't have marketing firms and entertainment companies and everyone else pushing some element of this. And then it comes down to market share. Technically you're not allowed to be a monopoly. But the reality is that it's a matter of getting your market share of data. Data's king. So it's pairing up with the strategies that we can find that they got for their entire city's presence. And then there's a wholesale strategy. I think that's what did it by itself. The leadership and the strategic team, that's the representation that's here. That's all, and everybody sitting at the table and the perspectives that are coming about. So the TSR,
put Michael on there.
I'm just thankful even to be in this room. I'm saying this is one of the most high intense sessions I've done this for. I've done thousands of these things and nothing at this level, so I'm loving this. So I'm thrilled. I don't mind you plugging me in there, dude. I'll throw myself in there. But now, and of course, this is the timeline breakdown that I was talking about before. We're in the fourth quarter. Well-defined four-quarter strategies, that's a session all in itself. And so, really looking at that and the roles that everyone's going to play so it's not interfering with ongoing projects. Because everything should be a complement, honestly, to each other. So there's no additional assignments each person's got to take on. And then taking care of the first quarter of 2015, to me, I don't see why there wouldn't be enough of a prototype done. The relationship build, that's always priceless. Relationships trump everything. So well-defined quarter strategy. Geographically, obviously, we're talking about the Atlanta airport. Charlie Brown is not going to do us any good, or Peachtree is not going to do us any good. So, but we're talking about the Atlanta airport, like Trace was saying, can't go wrong. World's busiest airport. There's a lot of appeal to what the city is trying to do and push behind it. So it's really getting in the flow of I'm going to put little dots around this. That's all the strategies and everything that they're circling around that to keep it as the regional, national, international hub that it's become. And then, of course, if we're going to look at other strategies, what would be the next airport? So we got Hartsfield, and then if we were looking, are we looking at O'Hare? Are we looking at DC?
It would be O'Hare, Denver, Dallas,
okay,
New York, and LA, probably in that order.
Those 80% of that work is taken care of in relationships. Because most likely you get any strong relationship in Atlanta, they're going to tell you what to do with the other airports because they're always advising those airports. So that's not as far of a leap cost-wise. And then globally, what airports are we looking at?
Paris, Amsterdam, Beijing.
So Paris, Amsterdam, Beijing, and Dubai. Dubai has just made all that money. And they pretty much spending money like crazy. And what we forget is that's right.
Hartsfield. I kept saying Hartsfield.
US,
I'm like, it's not Hartsfield. It's
US with 318 million. You're talking about 7 billion over here.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if it sells just as fast in a global market than it does even here at ATL. Because he's right, all the politics and everything else that goes behind what goes on here is just not the same as the kind of casual competitive nature that's global.
Is that 5% of the world?
We are? Yeah, we're small.
Is that about 5%?
People forget that, but our buying power is well over everybody else.
Yeah, 75%.
Yep. And then you represent the full global community of what the web offers, which again, that's one of the symbols for that. And then the specific, and there's going to be a lot of people, there's probably some great data out there that talks about the traveler's experience within their demographics. So if you can imagine, I packed it all in here, but normally if we have access to an entire room, we map out the entire room. Each one of these would be a section up on the wall. We got a little post-it note type system that we use for it, and you can see the others.
I see about that.
Color coded, all kind of stuff that we're able to do. So in a 2-day session, every single detail, which y'all have done here. So not every day.
And we only did 90 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and then you take each one of the stamps that are here from the beginning entry. And in the beginning, I was trying to get the data ready. Trying to get the maps ready, so I was writing too fast. But niche demographics, I love that. The infrastructure versus the infrastructure, the existing websites, the dashboard, the cyber, and I wrote it too fast. Destination, yep, that's exactly. I need to write it again. Physical to, again, I'll send up the first page. It's physical space to something with a D. And the chamber book, someone mentioned the reference to the chamber book, the website look. And so each one of these, the brand airport, city, the spider, the traveling, keep them on the site, the icons, the security issues, the Sweet Auburn brand company as a reference, and then Jeff search, both the search question and you are here, the slider, the color scheme, looking at how they're the new features. If you are here, the link market platform.